Good day. This is Benjamin with ARI, your website company. And the point of this video will be to go over some of the basic controls using your CDK Evo, or otherwise known as PLI Portal. Let's get started. First thing we'll touch on today is adding a new unit from scratch. The first thing that you'll do is you'll go into your upper menu once you have logged into your CDK portal. And in the navigation, you'll want to choose Sales. And then underneath Sales, you'll navigate down to Major Unit Inventory. And then in the upper left-hand corner, you'll click on what looks like a file. Please be careful to click on the actual file, not the drop-down arrow that is to the right of that file. You will choose Create Blank Unit. After you do that, it'll ask you to choose your unit type and industry. If you are inputting a power sports unit, you can search by VIN. Otherwise, if you're doing any other industry, you will have to use the search by year, make, model that you see over to the right. And we can see that it populates the year, make, model over to the right using that VIN because this is a power sports unit. As you can see, this is a 2015 Polaris RZR. After the search results appear, you can see the different skeletons and or types of RZR that we have. You'll want to choose the correct skeleton or unit model, whatever you would like to call it. Then you'll click on Create Unit down at the bottom. If it's not already selected on the next screen that comes up, you will want to click over to the far left to the tab that says Summary. You'll want to take some time and fill in any fields that are this reddish pink color that I've highlighted here. Make sure that they're filled in, otherwise it will not let you move on to the next step. Something that occurs during that search occasionally when you're using that VIN that we just went over is sometimes the nomenclature that you use in office or at your dealership for that unit does not match what's in our ARI database. So if it is not bringing up any results for a specific skeleton or unit type, you may just want to fine-tune or try a different variation on the model to make sure that you get results. Once you have finished filling in all of those red fields, you can go down to the lower right-hand corner and click on the big floppy disk, and underneath it, it will say Save. Your next step will be to click over to that website tab that you have. Now, something I feel fair to mention before we go ahead and move on, something that's not in the picture on the screen. In the lower right-hand corner underneath your product description, there will be all of your sales channels. So product groups that you've created, showrooms that you've created, and other sales channels such as Cycle Trader, iBoats, RV Trader, Craigslist, Backlot, Kijiji, and other selectable sales channels will be just beneath this product description that you see here. Once you've gone through and selected those particular sales channels, you will click on Include Unit on Website checkbox in that upper left-hand corner. You'll then go down into the lower right-hand corner and once again click on that Save Floppy Disk. Now we jump back onto our test website to make sure that the unit listed. So all I did is I went into our major unit inventory, and I first narrowed it down by Polaris Industries, the manufacturer, and then I used the keyboard control of Control F and searched by the stock number, as you can see right up here. And you can see that it does in fact list. The next thing we'll do is we'll click on View Details to the right of that unit's picture and description. And we can see on the View Details page, it pulls in the ARI database information. First pulls in all of those stock specs and features, which is great. And then it also pulls in all of the stock pictures as well. Something that doesn't pull over from the CDK tool is any custom pictures that you have listed in the CDK tool. So those will have to be added in the CMS editor afterward. But at least you know at the very least the stock photos and all of these specs and features that would be originally given to us by the manufacturer will be listed for the unit. So it's not like it's posting a unit with just the information and no pictures, because obviously that would be bad. All right, relinking existing units from your major unit inventory page. And the reason that you'd want to do this is because when your integration first goes through and information starts flowing from CDK Evo over to your CMS editor, you will see a lot of units listed out as a status of new and in blue. And I'll explain further as we go along. Something I want to briefly touch on before we continue is if you're experiencing any errors. If you're experiencing any communication errors with either the CDK portal communicating with your site or the CDK portal communicating with the ARI database, you will not want to report that to ARI. You will want to report that directly to CDK by filing a ticket, by giving your particular rep a call, or calling into their 1-800 number and reaching out to one of their technical support staff. Okay, so here's what we did. We went back to the initial screen and selected major unit inventory. And on this screen, I'd like to go ahead and discuss the very helpful web column. Now, the web column, simply what it does is if you have a solid dot in the web column next to your unit, it means that the unit is already listed here in this CDK portal and on your website with all of the details that you provided, and it is essentially done. For any units that you do not see that solid black dot in the web column, they will need to be relinked. And if you do not have this web column when you pull up that major unit inventory list, you can go into the upper right-hand corner up here, just off the edge of the picture, and click on this hamburger menu, and it'll ask you what columns you want to have here. You'll simply select to add the web column. And then, of course, you can click and drag this web column to rearrange these columns and put it wherever you want. My recommendation would be put it front and center because it's one of the more important things, pieces of information you need to know. And now let's go through the rest of how to relink a unit. So you'll find a unit that does not have a solid dot in that web column, and you'll first start by double-clicking on the unit. It will bring up this summary tab once again. You will want to go through and fill in any red fields if there are any. Since this is already a unit in your major unit inventory list, the likelihood that it'll have any incomplete red fields is less likely. After you've done that, you'll click all the way over to the right within that red circle that you see to the website tab. Once you're on the website tab, you'll start by clicking on that Link Web Product button that is to the far left of the Include Unit on website checkbox. It's pretty much in the dead center of your screen. Once again, you'll be presented with this particular box. When I was trying to go through and link this 2012 unit, I searched by VIN, but for some reason, the model did not come up. So I had to go back to my list and type in the specific model before I could go through and search. Once I fine-tuned that model and hit search beneath the search by year, make, model, the Raptor 297 SE came up. I selected that specific skeleton for the unit, and then I went down and clicked on link product that you can see the mouse is over right here. Then after I went through and clicked linked product, I went up to the upper left-hand corner and first selected that include unit on website. Then after I was made sure that box was checked, went all the way down to the lower right-hand corner and clicked on that floppy disk logo that is of course marked with save. Now here is what I briefly mentioned earlier. When the information first starts flowing from your integration, from your CDK portal over to your CMS editor, your major unit inventory list, which to get to the major unit inventory list in your editor, you will go to products, and in the submenu appears, click on the option that says unit inventory. Then once you get to this screen, by default, it will be filtered to unfinalized. And simply what unfinalized means is you'll have all of these units listed here with a status of new and in blue. Now what that means is that this unit is listed here in the editor, but it is not yet listed on your site, and it is missing some key information. That relinking a unit will flip the status from new and in blue over to a green status of no issues, which means that there is no longer any information missing, and the unit is listed both here in your editor and on your site the way that it should be. And over in your CDK portal, in that web column for that specific unit, a solid black dot will then appear. Final pieces of information for you today before we end this particular video. As I mentioned earlier, the only information that does not carry over for our CDK from our CDK Evo portal over to the CMS editor is your custom pictures. So you simply will want to go into the editor afterwards, click on edit to the far right of that unit's listing in the unit inventory tool, and go in and add your own custom pictures in. And if you attended my previous level 1 webinar, I went over in great detail how to go in and add in those pictures and make sure they appear the way that you want for that particular unit. Any connection errors between the ARI database and CDK or in between CDK and your website must be reported to CDK, not ARI, because the problem is most likely on their side. Thank you for watching my presentation today. For any questions not related to connection errors, you can reach out to our technical support, and both the phone number and the email will be flashing up on the screen here real soon. So there is our toll-free number. Make sure that you do use these options when going through the menu so you can actually talk to a real live person rather than a machine. And of course, if you'd prefer to email instead, you can go through and email our technical support team at that email. That wraps up this video on the basics for your CDK, otherwise known as PLI Portal. This has been Benjamin. Thank you for your time, and have a great rest of your day.